Death is a wake-up call for the living. Let that sink in just for a moment. That's what I'm present to this week. When someone young dies, it always makes me think. And sometimes those things come around in quick succession, and it really gives me pause. And so I want to talk to you guys today about legacy, because I think we have this notion here that is a little backwards. I'm going to just go to work every day and toil around and do my best. And at the end of my life, I'll look back and hope I'm proud. And I just think that sets us up for heartache. So I'm going to encourage you today to do something radical and something that might seem a little morbid, but I think it's really important. And that is to imagine your funeral, your celebration of life. What do you want people to say about you? What do you want to leave them with? You're not going to be here, but your words, your impact can live on. What's that impact that you want to make? Not all of us have huge visions of changing the world. I do. But your life makes an impact every day. Think about those ripples in the water when you drop in a pebble. It spreads. What is it that you want to do with your one precious life? That's one of my favorite quotes. I want to share with you a couple of quotes that really are meaningful to me today. One is one of my favorite quotes in the whole world. It's by Les Brown, and he says, "Many people, when they leave the universe, no one will know they're here. They've been here." And that one brings me to my knees, especially since I want to make a difference in the world. So I think it's really important to live your life with intention. What do I want to do? What do I want to create? What do I want to offer? How do I want to serve? What's the message I want to share? I had a co-participant in a landmark seminar once. She had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is a death sentence. And she was young. I think she was in her early 40s. And she said, I think I'm going to be the one that dies with the most potential in my body, in my life. And that's what Les Brown says. He says, are you going to get to the end of your life and not be used up? Because that's a tragedy. This week, what actually happened to sort of get me thinking of this was a very prominent Kundalini yoga teacher in Los Angeles died at the age of 41. She had started 3 yoga studios around the world and had her own clothing line and was a very well-renowned force in the community. I had been to her classes, her studios, a magical place. And she broke her ankle and had surgery. And then 3 days later, she had a pulmonary embolism that killed her. She died from a broken ankle, you guys. What? I just, that really shook me because we don't know. You always think it's going to be something epic and long-standing that takes you out. It could just be you broke your ankle. One day, she was here. She was thriving and healthy and vibrant and alive and doing stuff. And she was in the middle of this retreat. And the next day, she's gone. Done. It's over. I just think that we take this for granted. And I don't want to do that anymore. Because you don't know. You just don't know. The young people really bring me to my knees when they pass. Because, as my mom would say, but for the grace of God go I, right? I'm still here. But how long, I don't know. So I better get on it. Okay? And when these young people who have done epic things with their life, they pass on, I think, oh my God, I can't believe they did so much with their life. And then I had a friend who was my age, a couple years older, and she was more like me. She was always about to make it, just going to start dating. And, she was on her umpteenth career, and she just really hadn't found her place in the world. And I really relate to that. And she last May, at the end of May, found out she had uterine cancer. And by July, she was gone. And I think, oh my God, that could be me. And I don't want to dwell on the death and the uncertainty and the fear. What I do want is to make every day count. And I think that's the message I want to give to you, is stop taking this for granted. Stop waiting for the right time, the right amount of dollars in your bank account. Stop waiting for the situation to be exactly perfect. Stop being so afraid of what other people are going to think. I mean, fuck that. Really. We don't know how much time we have. So get busy writing your legacy. So living backwards, yeah. Thinking of, what do I want people to say at the end of my life? What do I want to leave them with? What's the legacy? What do I want them to be like? Oh yeah, Tana always said this, or oh yeah, Tana's voice is in my head. What's the message? Did she inspire me? Did she encourage me? Did she empower me? What was the thing I wanted to say to leave the world with? And that's possible. So find that thing, that legacy that you want to leave, and work backwards. How do I put that into play every day in my life? How do I make my living life a legacy, and not just when I die? How do my actions and decisions create this life that's going to lead to this legacy? What do I need to do? Who do I need to be? I want to share some quotes from Brene Brown, because she's my badass hero. She says, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside the story and hustle for your worthiness. And I've been hustling all my life, trying to convince people I am enough, I'm good enough, I have something to say, look at me, look at me. I have a wounding from my childhood where my brother was a famous astrophysicist, like before he was out of the womb. So I didn't matter. My voice didn't matter. There was not enough room in his spotlight for me to even shine. So I have struggled a lifelong time thinking I'm enough. I matter. And you know what? It's time to just move past that. We have to look at what's stopping us from expressing the work of our soul. For me, a lot of the reason is fear. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of what other people think. I'm afraid of the haters. And I had to just have a come to Jesus moment with myself the other day and say, you know what? Every person who makes it big in the world, every person who goes down in the history books, every person that I admire the hell out of has haters. Every person, Mother Teresa, you think, how could you find anything or anyone upset with her? She's got haters. So it doesn't really matter what you do or say. There are people that are going to come and critique you. Do you really want that to get in the way, or are you going to let that get in the way of your voice and your expression? So Brene Brown has this beautiful movie on Netflix, and I encourage you to watch it. It's so good. And she has two more quotes that I want to share with you in that movie. She says, I want to be in the arena. I want to be brave with my life. And when we make the choice to dare greatly, we sign up to get our asses kicked. We can choose courage, or we can choose comfort, but we can't have them both at the same time. So that really sparks me. That really inspires me to get out and do it. She talks about when you are playing in the arena, which means when you're putting forth effort, when you're doing things that could impact others, you're gonna get haters. And most of the time, those haters are the armchair critics, right? They're in the nosebleed seats, like calling the plays because they think they know better, but they're not in the arena. So she says about this quote she found with Teddy Roosevelt. She says, if you're not in the arena also getting your ass kicked, I'm not interested in your feedback. And I really am taking that on. So I encourage you to stop living in stop letting that fear stop you. Okay? Just do it. Show up. Be messy. Be imperfect. Put out a video that maybe people are going to comment on and say stupid things. So do it anyway. If you've ever read the poem, I'd Pick More Daisies, that is sort of an ode to my life as it's been. Is I think of the regrets I have, and I have many, and that is sad. And I want to live my life so that I don't continue to have regrets. But it is a beautiful poem. Read it if you can. And it talks about living in fear, living in worry, being too careful or cautious, or I better pack a raincoat in case it might rain. And I think about all the regrets I have in my life, and most of those were things I didn't do. They're not often the things I did. Sometimes, but not often, right? Those most amazing times in my life that I look back on are those wild moments where I threw caution to the wind and I said, yes. I don't know why, or it doesn't make any sense, or, I'm getting a lot of flack for this, but yes. And I'm going to do it anyway. And it could fail spectacularly. But you know what? Most of the time, it feels fucking amazing. So this is what I want to do more of. And this is how I'm integrating these reminders this week of how fragile life is. Several ways. Is one, I'm going to tell people how I feel. And I'm going to call my 82-year-old dad and talk to him and say, I love you. Because I don't know, right? I'm going to say yes more. If you've ever seen this movie, Jim Carrey, what is it? Yes Man. He got this advice to say yes to everything. And he had this crazy ass year of doing all these insane things. And it changed his life just to say yes. So I am someone who's like, well, I got to run it through my spreadsheet. I got to do the pros and cons. Maybe let me put out a 5-year plan and see if it could be beneficial. Yes. Okay, if it feels good, if the energy is good, I'm going to say yes. I just did that, you guys. I was at the gym and had this epiphany that I should sign up for a personal training certification. Did it make sense? No. Was the money a smart decision? I'm not sure. But you know what? It was yes all over my body and in my nervous system. So I'm like, fuck it. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Say yes more. The third thing that I am going to do is I'm going to do more of what I love and less of what I don't. And this has been the huge lesson of COVID for me. I was doing a lot of things that I thought was in alignment, and COVID showed me how they weren't, how much they weren't. So now I'm really being intentional about putting things back in my life that they don't feel good. They don't serve my greater purpose of who I'm becoming. And things like the gym, I'm putting back in my life because they feed my soul. So more of what feels good and less of what doesn't. And the last thing is I'm going to stop, easier said, being so afraid. Or I'll change that to say I'm going to take action in spite of fear. Okay? I'm going to show up. I'm going to do it messy. I'm going to be imperfect. I'm going to let myself fail. And this one I know I need support on, right? Because I don't like it even coming out of my mouth. But that's my commitment to myself. I want to honor these people who were such fleeting forces in the world and they left too early, in my opinion. So how can I use my one precious life and not waste it? And that's the question I leave with you. What do you want your legacy to be? And how can you make your life a living embodiment of that?